So this is a really important video today on how you are going to create brilliant attitudes across your whole squad. It's easy when you think about it, but it gets missed out and skipped over and over again. If you want to create amazing attitudes in your team, in your players, then you have to speak about attitude regularly and not just as an afterthought after you've spoke about performance or outcome or technical elements to the training or the matches. It has to come first. So when you're taking a training session, at the start of the session, you have an intro and you'll talk to the players. The first thing you should talk about is their attitude, what that's going to be like, what you're expecting, all those things. Before you talk about what you're actually going to be up to, you shouldn't mention passing, you shouldn't mention shooting, any of that. That's secondary. First thing that you talk about is the attitude of the players, and that's you as the coach prioritizing attitude ahead of everything else. And if you do that, then the players have got a good chance of adopting that thought process as well. Now, during your session, you'll do drills, you'll do possession games. After the activity, the first thing you need to say when you're giving a little bit of feedback or delivering your coaching points is talk about the attitude before you talk about the technical side of things. So you could say, oh, I love the work ethic there. I'm really proud of how hard you worked. I love the energy levels. I love the positivity. I liked how you were listening, encouraging each other. It's amazing. And then you can talk about the technical elements of the practice. And what, again, you're doing is showing the players that the first thing as the coach you're looking for is the attitude of the players. And after a while, it will seamlessly become natural for them to sort their attitude out first. On a match day, if your team's just won 3-2 in the last minute with an amazing goal, well, that's brilliant. And you can celebrate and all those different things because it feels great. And that's what football's all about. But when you come into the changing room or when you're having your team talk out on the pitch, wherever you may be, after the game's finished, we don't start talking about the passing. We don't start talking about the shot at the end first. The first thing you're going to talk about is the attitude of the players. How did they work? What was their body language like? Did they want to go that extra step for their teammate? Were they shouting encouragement? All those things come first. Once you've discussed them, then you can move on to the technical side of things and the outcome and the performance. What normally happens is it gets mixed the wrong way round. And the attitude is mentioned as a bit of an afterthought. And the performance and the skill and the outcome is spoken about first. And it's a huge mistake, okay? Here's an example. If your team's got an amazing player who's a really good goal scorer and he scores 3 goals, but he's a bit lethargic in his play and he hasn't really worked hard, he hasn't shown a great attitude, but he scored 3 and you've won 3-1, if you come off the pitch and just speak about his 3 goals before anything else, well, his attitude will never change. He's actually going to become quite big-headed probably. He's actually going to have a reasonably big ego and he's not going to think about his attitude and what he could have actually done better. He'll just be thinking, well, I'm a superstar, I scored 3 goals. And that's what the coach is talking about. Instead, before you talk about the 3 goals, you've got to talk about his attitude. And on this occasion, it wasn't what it should be. It wasn't what you want to see. So therefore, you could say something along the lines of, right, good result, okay, but before we talk about that, before we talk about the performances, I did notice that we was a bit lethargic at times. We didn't have the usual energy. We didn't have the same enthusiasm. I saw a few of you stood a bit heavy. And you're talking about something that all of them can change. And as long as you mention it and it's the first thing you say, you'll start to see the changes. And then you might say at the end, great that you scored 3 goals today, but do you think you could have maybe done more in the game if you'd had those different traits, if you'd shown those different characteristics, if your attitude was a bit better, if you had a bit more high energy? And obviously what they're going to say is, oh, actually, yeah. So then the following week, if you keep repeating this process, talk about attitude first, outcomes, performance, technique second. If you keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it, what will happen is you'll see the attitudes change. And then the players will also realise that if my attitude's right, my performance level actually goes up as well. So the technique and the performance and the outcome will often take care of themselves. So as a coach, what I want you to do going forward is prioritise attitude, because then your players will do. Mention it first on every single team talk you ever have, okay? To go one step further at the start of a season, if you've got a new club or a returning team, send out a document to parents, make them aware that you prioritise an attitude. And when parents are talking to kids, when they get in the car after the game, instead of saying, oh, great goal today, Talk about their attitude first and then move on, and it's consistent. And what you'll find is before long, you've got a team full of players who have got amazing attitudes because you as the coach have prioritized the attitudes first above everything else, and that's what spreads to them. I hope this helps. Let me know. So this is a really important video today on how you